that I had lived a decade of my life just trying to avoid giants, I realized how meaningless and how frustrating my life was.
Welcome to the Howie and Beastmode podcast, where we discuss all things business, including growth, strategy, and execution, as well as personal and professional development. Let's join Howie and Beastmode in conversation.
So exciting to really just unpack this topic from various different aspects. I love the fact that we're not just focusing on after the fact. We haven't even got there yet. We're 4 episodes in. We haven't even talked about listening, which is where most people listen is after somebody's long gone. But I'm excited for today about listening while we finally got them. They're a customer now. Now we're listening to them. So excited.
It's so good. You know, it's just, and I think a lot of you, some of these things that we talk about are things that you would do if you didn't have profit targets that you had to hit.
Yes.
I think, you know, it's like in your soul, you would love to listen to customers, you know, and spend time and do this kind of thing. But you feel like you're under pressure. And I think one of the things about Howie and Beast Mode is that I think we're kind of unpacking this in our lives. And I hope in front of you on the podcast is that, you know, in fact, George or Beast Mode and I talked about this extensively this evening about personal business matters. Like, do business the way that your soul tells you you wish you could do business. And it actually works. It may be a little bit slower, but if you'll do that goodness, we talk sometimes about operationalizing goodness here. If you will do that, it actually works over the long term.
Yeah, I would encourage you to start doing this at like maybe 10% capacity and just trial it versus the 90. Put 10% up against the 90 and see which one works. I'm confident that 10% will work.
That's brilliant.
Well, the 10% will beat the 90. I'm confident in it.
I like that. That feels very true.
Feels very David versus Goliath.
It feels compelling, honestly. Yeah, there's a truth to that just sings. Well, the first thing that we want to talk about when you're listening to your current customers is the risks. What if they don't listen to current customers and really operationalize goodness in that way?
Yeah, before we just jump to the obvious risk, kind of one of the biggest thoughts I had is if I'm not listening, if I'm not staying in that pursuit of the customer, somebody's pursuing my customer. And somebody's listening to their complaint. Somebody's listening to it. Or quite frankly, if they're not listening, they're actively telling somebody. And you know, in any relationship, and again, we're talking about business, but think about it personally. If you got a personal matter that's going on and there's an issue, don't you want to know about it? The answer is yes. And so we need to translate that to business as well. We need to know about things, positive or negative. And the only way you do that is by listening.
You know, when we monitor things like the gas well head pressure, right? Because if we don't monitor that, then we may have a blowout, right? We may waste oil or gas, and we may have an explosion, and we may have people that are injured or killed. I mean, we monitor as a course of business. People monitor for cybersecurity. People monitor for the performance of their websites, because if your website's slow, they're going to go somewhere else. But we also have to monitor humans, because humans can go somewhere else too.
Yeah.
So one of the ones that you didn't want to bring up because it was so obvious, I'll just say it and take the hit. Obviously, one of the risks of not listening to current customers is that they will stop being customers. Kind of obvious. And yet it's not, because I guarantee you that our audience has, in many cases, has not operationalized the goodness of regular programmatic listening. It's not happening. I guarantee it.
Yeah. And I guarantee you, you've got that email, you've gotten something, and you've had that thought, what happened? We were good 3 months ago. Like what? Well, it's because you stopped listening. You pursued, you wooed, and they become a customer, and you put them on the side and just let it sit there. They didn't give them attention anymore. Now, again, giving attention is different to each person. And so again, but you just have to stay in some kind of pursuit. Let them know I'm still here listening, in whatever capacity that is.
Operationalizing goodness means that you have to do the things that your soul tells you that it wants to do. And if you lead with that, it will lead to revenue. And so absolutely agree with everything you're saying. The next risk of not listening to your current customers is that you will not learn from them what they like, that you can repeat. or you will not learn from them what they dislike that you need to stop, right? So for example,
Yeah.
your annual renewal, they have to go through XYZ, taxing paper process, and it's annoying to them. You have no idea because you're not listening. And that's like the straw that broke the camel's back. And they're like, their processes are so bad. And Jane Doe over here is giving me this slick, easy process, making my life easier. I'm going to switch.
Yeah. Yeah. And oftentimes, we're talking about this, and we're not just talking about you. So your example is, I got an annual, follow up, and we got to do this to get them to signed up again. Maybe that's not my job. Maybe that's HR or somebody else who's going to do that. Somebody's supposed to be listening in this process and sending up a red flag. Hey, just letting you know, it's not going as smooth as it should. Somebody needs to reach out. And that leads into kind of our next point is if you're not listening, you're not seeing the bomb come. I want to see the plane take off with the bomb before it gets over the top of me, ready to drop it, and say, I'm out of here. I want to catch them as they're putting their helmets on, getting in the cockpit, and say, hey man, what's going on? Why are you even considering this? Let me talk you down.
So good. Now, so we led with the risks.
Yeah.
But you know where we're going next, y'all, which is the rewards. And, so what are some of the rewards if we will operationalize and intentionally listen? And again, we're not saying you listen occasionally. We're talking about things that are operationalized, where it is a process, it's repeatable. So what's the reward if they will go ahead and operationalize different ways of listening to customers?
Testimonials is the first one that came to my mind whenever we were prepping, and it's unsolicited testimonials. Oftentimes you ask for testimony. Everybody should. If you're not doing that, you need to. Side note. But when you're doing things like this, people are going to tell you. They're going to send you an email saying, hey, I appreciate you checking in on me the other day and taking care of this issue. It wasn't really that big an issue. I was having a bad day. It could have been a bad day. It could have been worse. I could have done this. But thank you for handling it. And okay, well, there's my testimonial that you gave me without even asking, and I'm able to accommodate and say and kind of deepen that relationship now to where a bigger issue does come up, that person understands that, hey, I can call this guy, or he's already going to reach out,
Yeah, I think it's beautiful. I love that. It's funny with your marketing background that you went to testimonials first. I love it. Another one is so funny how it's a neat thing I've kind of learned in our relationship over the last couple of years that, we're so different. It's so cool. It's so cool how we see things differently. And I just, I've started to kind of like see some of those patterns, and I've been appreciating it. Yeah. Another one is, so obviously testimonials was one that you said, kind of like the marketing assistance side of that or whatever.
Yeah.
Another one I'll just throw in, that we got several here, but unsolicited sharing on social, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I've had situations on Yelp, for example. I don't want to say they went viral, or maybe it's TripAdvisor, where it got like a lot of traction. Like just a comment that I made on TripAdvisor about a hotel in Virginia got a lot of traction, and you just don't know what's going to happen. So you start listening to customers, and that's what they were doing at this hotel, is listening to me and meeting me at my point of need. And going a little bit above and beyond. And so you get unsolicited sharing on social and in other ways that are a little hard to attribute and calculate, and you can't always see them all. But operationalizing this goodness of listening to customers and letting them feel heard, letting them voice their concerns, and improving your business through that customer feedback will really, really generate social proofs across social media and in other ways.
Yeah. And just real quick to touch on that, you as a business should probably once a week, just on social media, whatever platform you're most active on, just search yourself to see what other people are saying about you. If you're not doing it, number one, you're not listening. There's kind of first and foremost, but then you're able to see this in action. Because again, they're talking about it, and it's really cool whenever you do this. Go check yourself out, and you just see how people are talking and saying great things about. Maybe they're talking about a particular employee, that you didn't even know about, but now you need to go encourage this employee to say, hey, keep doing what you're doing.
That is so cool. That really means a lot to me. It reminded me of a story of something I saw from my company today, where someone mentioned something nice about us, and our company was, like you just said, they were listening to our customers, and said something very nice to this individual.
That's cool.
So that's so cool. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. So yeah, listening online is a really big deal, and it's kind of a little bit of a less known thing, I would say, for sure.
Yeah.
What else? What are some of the rewards of kind of operationalizing customer listening?
Obviously the big ones, referrals and leads. When you're doing a good job, people can't help but talk about it. And whenever you're really listening, even during a customer, and so again, you're not listening at just good things, because again, you're going to talk about that. You're listening for bad things. Hey, I'm just checking in. It's our monthly touch point, whatever it is. And I just want to know what's going on. Is there anything that we could improve on? Is there anything we could do better on? You're telling me there's nothing you would change. You're kind of poking and prodding. And then whenever you get whatever that is, do something about it. Even if it's saying you go check, hey, there's literally nothing I could do. Hey, I just want you to know, I went and asked, my director of IT about this issue that you're having. I'll let you know that we're fixing it, but it's going to be a 3-month process. So it's going to be there. So we're going to keep touching on it the next couple of months. Gives you an opportunity of why I'm going to touch base with you the next 3 months.
There's two things.
Gives them expectations. Yeah.
No, two things I want to add to that because they're so good. Because I hadn't even thought of like the support aspect of they have a concern or they need a new feature or something else. So I really love what you're saying, which is the fact that you're closing the loop shows you're diligent. It kind of reduces their anxiety because they know they were heard, and that even if it's going to be 3 months for that new feature or whatever it is, they know you're on it and that you are going to be working on it. And especially if you can set a reminder and check in on that in 2 more weeks and give them an update or whatever it may be. And even if you don't have an update, just giving them that update that you don't have an update shows that you're monitoring. Yeah, exactly. The other one that's really cool, I actually had a really nice upsell back in 2012 from a very angry customer that we failed. And because we really, really listened to that concern, and then we tailored a way of improving the service, and they spent maybe a little bit more. But it was an upsell, so I guess they must have spent some more. I don't remember it being, whatever it was. But they spent more with us, even in spite of the fact that they were ragingly mad that we failed them in the service.
Yeah.
Because we listened and then we tailored the solution. So, I probably butchered that, but the main thing I want to say is you can actually turn a mad customer into a champion by how you handle it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't really want to jump ahead. And so I'm hoping I'm not with this next one, but it's the same thing. And on the receiving end, I don't want you just to call me each month just to chat, so that's part of, you got to find that reason. You got to have something that you're following up on. And quite frankly, it's best if it's negative. I don't want to follow up and say, hey, we did great last month. You want to tell me I'm doing great again? I want something, anything that I can call you back and say, hey, how are we doing in this area? I want to know that I'm telling you, this is what I've been doing for you over the past month. I just want to let you know, is there anything, again, how's it working? How's it not working? Anything, you have some kind of reason why you're touching base, not just calling me to shoot the breeze.
So good. That's such a high empathy, high EQ thing to say, Beastmode. If you just call and check in, who wants to have you just check in? Right?
Yeah, I got other things I'm doing.
Yeah.
But are you calling to fix a problem for me?
If you're calling to fix a problem or to share a new insight about a new use case or something, like, hey, I know this service did this, but we've added this to the front end of our process, and it's actually creating more downstream. And here's if you want more, let me know. I'll send you an email, right? And so it's like you're checking in still, but now it's with more insight. And if you listen to this podcast, we only talk about getting customers with an insight kind of combo insight approach. It's all we talk about. So it kind of makes sense, at least if you're generating business based on what we're saying, that you continue with what Beastmode is saying, which is, operationalizing goodness, continuing that relationship with insight, not just bland checking in. That's fake customer listening.
Yeah. And just an example is, hey, you said you had this problem. one of our other customers had the same issue. And so this is what we did to fix it. Now, even if let's just say it's an upsell. Hey, I just want to, but let's try it next month for free. And if it fixes your problem, just letting you know, that's going to be the realm to fix your problem, but this is the way to do it, and so you're not just leaving them hanging. Hey, you just got to sit there with an issue. No, hey, we tried it over here. It worked over here. So I want to let you know it's working. You should do it.
Yeah. When you listen to customers, you're going to get that kind of feedback. And then what you can do is you can operationalize sharing that feedback with others. And basically each customer gets to help the other customer because you're operationalizing that use case. Like Beastmode is saying, here's a cool story of how a customer actually did this with our product or our service. And I'd love to, share more so I can make sure you're doing the best with us.
Yeah. Yeah. Or we recommended, because maybe last month I recommended this to you and you didn't move the needle, and that's okay. But I recommended the same thing to this customer and it fixed their issue. So I'm going to ask you again, would you like to change it with this product, this service, or whatever it was?
I love it, man. I love it because it's so funny because I think if you really pick through kind of some of our content, we probably have like less than 12 topics, but it's so funny how fundamental these basic topics are to help grow and operationalize business and increase quality of life for yourself and your family and reduce your stress. All of these topics are awesome. I mean, I got to be honest, I talked to somebody who ran for a security company that all of you would recognize. Somebody ran an experimental customer care only group for them. And they absolutely focused on listening. Her name is Kayla. I actually interviewed her a few years ago, I would say 2016, about this. And it had happened a few years before, but they generated so much, literally upsells just from listening to customers. It's incredible. Yeah. So there's a lot of value to this, what we're saying right now. And also it's great for your soul and great for their soul.
Yeah. And so just to kind of move into some action items, and we kind of touched on them a little bit, so I'm just going to further that point, is purposeful scheduled touch points, not just scheduled touch points. That's annoying. Purposeful scheduled touch points. Hey, I'm following up with something you asked me to follow up on. Hey, I'm following up on something you said that bothered you. Hey, I'm following up on something that I saw that you missed. I'm letting you know that you should have had a problem with this. You didn't see it, but I'm telling you, we messed up. Here it is. I'm letting you know about it.
Nobody
hold me accountable.
Like actually kind of like outing yourself, like we screwed up, we're sorry, here's what we're doing about it. Like that goes a long way. That transparency does go a long way. Another one is we're getting back to in-person stuff. So if you had a monthly call with your customers, you could easily see a situation where you had a quarterly lunch with them as well.
Yeah totally. If you have the time, the flexibility, and the resources to schedule things like that, get after it. I know some people, different parts of the country, are having issues, but
you may not have the ability.
Yeah, but if you do, then exercise it. Especially, if you're listening and your customer is saying, "Hey, I'd like to meet you," then go do it.
Love it. And then what about this customer council? What's that about? I can cover that one.
Yeah, do it? I
mean, it's a really good idea that you can have, a group of customers for purposeful listening. So maybe you get on a web meeting, or maybe it's an in-person. You schedule once a year, twice a year, whatever it may be. This customer council. A lot of companies do that. You don't have to be a business to have a customer council, right? Yeah. Do a invite only situation to your 12 biggest customers. Operationalize some kind of a nice meeting, send them a little gift, whatever it may be, have a little special program, and then put listening into place with a customer council. People call them customer advisory boards. There's all kinds of things, but those are great ideas. And I don't think small business does that. I think that's more of a tech thing. And I don't know why. I mean, they're going to have business. You got 12 business owners together for small businesses. I'm just right now speaking to small business, big businesses already get this. But for small business, why not? You get your 12 housing contractors, house builders together that you do painting for, and have a twice a year, extended lunchtime and bring in a speaker that talks about how they can grow their business. Nothing to do with painting, just how they can grow their business. Customer counseling.
And while they're together, they're going to validate you.
Yeah.
They're going to say, hey, I use John to do this. Oh, you do? He's been telling me about that. How do you like that? Oh, he's great at it. And all they're doing is just validating you and the work that you do. So and they're going to upsell you and you didn't even say anything.
Love it. And in those same customer councils, some people, depending on the format, have actually invited a few key prospects to those meetings. And then of course your customers fawn all over you in front of the prospects. And, you can consider that if it's just a pure listening and not a gratitude event, maybe just keep it to customers. But if it's a gratitude event, rock on, invite a few prospects too if you want as well.
Yeah. I think we got one more point. Asking customers who are using your product and service, how they like it, what they would change. And so again, it goes for that purposeful point, and asking for that feedback again. Feedback is our number one rated episode. And it was really? Yeah. Okay. Any topic that's on feedback is in our top 10.
That's cool.
Which, if anybody's listening, they're all about feedback. So
it's a heavy focus. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. And then the one that I would say some of y'all would probably be willing to start with is doing an email survey. That's not real personal, but it is low-hanging fruit. It's okay to blend that in as your process. I just wouldn't make that all that you do. But email surveys are fine as well. But also make sure that they feel heard. And I think they want to see, for example, do an email survey of satisfaction and ideas, right? And then make sure they understand if they're willing to do the survey, you'll share the results, right?
Yeah.
Good and bad. Here's the results. We saw these 3 trouble spots. We're working on those. And so thank you all for reporting. And then also we've got these 4 ideas. These are awesome. We're going to probably work on these 2 first, and we'll let you know. You know what I mean? There's that openness and that transparency. And it can be scary for sure. But in the long run, again, do what your heart tells you. And I think your heart would say, if there wasn't a risk, I'd rather be transparent.
Sure. And so today, we're so grateful that you guys took time to listen to us. Please put some of this into motion. Even if it's 10%, listen to your current customers and begin listening to customers that haven't even gotten in the pipeline yet. That's what the last 2 episodes were about. So Howie, I'm excited. Next week, we're going to be talking about customers after they've stopped being customers and how to listen to that. So we'll see you guys next week.
I feel like sometimes we're a little too agreeable in the way we deliver, and because we don't want to, kind of burn a bridge or make someone feel stupid or whatever,